So in today's video, I want to share with you what self-sabotage is, why you self-sabotage, and what you can do to eliminate it once and for all. So self-sabotage is when there is a goal that we have, whether we want to, maybe it's a health goal. Maybe we want to become our ideal weight, whatever that number is for you. Maybe you have a business or career goal that you're trying to reach. Or maybe you have a relationship goal. A lot of people want to meet their life partner, maybe have a long-term committed relationship with them, get married, whatever it is that you want to do. We have goals that we want to reach in these different areas of our life. Now, when it comes to our health, we might have a goal of, some people want to be their high school weight. And they do what they can to try to reach that goal. Maybe they're going to the gym, they're exercising, they're trying to watch their diet, and they might get close to their ideal weight, but then they sabotage it. Maybe they go to the market and buy a bunch of ice cream or chips or eat 2 pizzas, and they go back to where it feels comfortable. It goes back to what they know. So here they are, they're trying to reach their goal, and something happens that pulls them back to what's familiar. There's a version of themselves who is sabotaging their success in reaching their goals. I'm sure you can relate. In fact, in the comments as I'm going through this, let me know in which ways do you find yourself sabotaging your own goals. Self-sabotage is a very subconscious thing. Sometimes we're very conscious that we're sabotaging, but we don't know why we're sabotaging. Right? We're not aware of why we're doing that. Self-sabotage is all about survival. Okay, we sabotage because the subconscious mind wants you to stay safe. This is a survival adaptation. Your goals that you have for your health, your business, your relationship doesn't feel safe to your subconscious mind. Okay, so reaching your ideal weight doesn't feel safe to your subconscious mind if you find yourself constantly sabotaging your efforts to get to that number. Your business, having success in your business the way that you would like, doesn't feel safe to your subconscious mind if you find yourself sabotaging your efforts to have success. Maybe it shows up as procrastination or perfectionism, or however it shows up for you, but you can't quite accomplish the goals that you're trying to accomplish. Maybe you're looking for that ideal partner, but you find yourself sabotaging relationships. Self-sabotaging patterns can show up in different ways for different people depending on what they have going on. It can show up as avoiding your feelings, not talking about difficult things, running away. It can show up as picking fights. It can show up as picking the wrong partners that you know are not good for you long term, but you have chemistry with them, so you follow that chemistry, being quick to anger, pushing people away through these unconscious behaviors. We all self-sabotage. It's a part of how the subconscious mind keeps you safe. So if you're sabotaging your relationships, what that means is that your subconscious mind doesn't feel safe with the relationship that you envision having. So anytime you go to reach for that relationship, it'll sabotage it in some way because it wants you to stay safe with the familiar. So your subconscious mind's number one job is to keep you safe. So we're going to write subconscious mind. What it's doing is keeping you safe. Safe is what is familiar. Okay, this is what you know. That's why people say like, oh, you're just staying in your comfort zone. This is what's familiar to you. To the subconscious mind, doing something that it's never done before doesn't feel safe. Let's talk about relationships for 1 second. If you're sabotaging your relationships, Your subconscious mind, let's say, when you were little, between the ages of being 0 to 3 years old, when you're a baby, and even 0 to 7, your brain is still developing during this time. So after you're born, your brain isn't fully formed. It continues to develop and grow, and it does that in response to the environment that you're growing up in. And it does it as your parents and how they treat you, your caregivers and how they raise you, your primary caregiver being the person who spent the most time with you. They are shaping and molding your brain. It's almost like you can envision it like clay, and they are sculpting your brain through how they treat you, through how they respond to you, whether or not they're there for you or maybe ignoring you. So depending on your primary caregivers, they're playing a huge part in how your brain is developing. So a lot of relationship issues, a lot of the reasons why people sabotage relationships is because during these formative years, especially, this is when our attachment style is being formed. Okay, so there are 4 different attachment styles. There's secure. Secure is like, they say close to 50% of the US population has a secure attachment style. I don't really know about that. I think there's a more insecure attachment styles than there are secure, but maybe it's just because I'm biased because I had an insecure attachment style. So we have secure, we have avoidant, we have ambivalent, and we have disorganized. These 3 are the insecure attachment styles. I didn't spell that right. This one's the one you want. This one's great. But a lot of people who sabotage relationships, we're looking at these insecure attachment styles. These are the ones that are sabotaging, most likely, their relationships. These attachment styles are the names that are given to the infant. When you're an adult, there is a different attachment style name given. For adults, they have dismissive avoidant. For the ambivalent, you've heard anxious attachment. It's actually called preoccupied attachment. And then disorganized is also called fearful avoidant when you become an adult. It's just a different name. But it originates in childhood. So these are the names given to the children with that particular attachment style. People who have an avoidant attachment style, how they're going to sabotage love is they're going to pull away from their partner. They're going to shut down emotionally because it's not safe for them to feel their feelings. And they're going to pull away from intimacy. Usually they attract the people who are anxiously attached. So when the avoidant pulls away, that's a self-sabotaging behavior because it's going to leave their partner feeling insecure and needy, like they've done something wrong. Shutting down emotionally is not good for relationships because we want to be able to be open with our partner. We want to be able to express how we're feeling and have a safe place. But for avoidance, they don't really feel safe expressing themselves because when they were little and they expressed themselves, whether it was crying or whatever, they were ignored. And the parents usually left them in the crib to cry it out. And so their system learns, for survival reasons, to shut down. And so for them, opening up to intimacy can be quite scary to the subconscious mind. It doesn't feel safe. So when they become an adult and this avoidant attachment style individual goes and dates and somebody comes along that loves them and wants to maybe hug them and kiss them and show them all this affection, it can feel overwhelming to these individuals and they can shut down, pull away, and retreat because that's what feels safest to their subconscious mind. Now on the surface, even though this is a survival adaptation, on the surface it can look like self-sabotage. To the person that they're dating, it looks like, why are you putting up these walls? Why are you pulling away? Why are you ignoring me? But it's really how this individual knows how to cope in relationships. Now, I am a big fan, and I believe that all these insecure attachment styles can be healed with the right help. This is something I used to do with my clients. I used to help them shift their attachment style. Now I just call it helping them to not sabotage love. But through the right kind of work, you can shift from an insecure attachment style to what's called earned secure attachment, so that you're less likely to sabotage your relationships. And you'll shift, when you shift this, you start to have a secure base, and you will attract and be attracted to partners who also have a secure base. What happens for these individuals with an insecure attachment style, when they date somebody that has a secure base, guess what their subconscious mind goes? It says, this person is boring. I just don't feel any chemistry. I don't feel alive. That alive feeling that you feel when you meet somebody, if you have an insecure attachment style and you meet somebody that makes you feel chemistry, that makes you feel alive, that is your subconscious mind going, I know how to survive that type of dysfunction. I know how to survive that. It's your creature neurology going, this person, we know how to navigate territory with this person, and I can keep you alive if you date this person. It's kind of like you grow up with dysfunctional parents, and then you become an adult and you can't understand why you keep attracting dysfunctional partners. It's because that's what your subconscious mind learned to survive. So this is really at the basis and the root of why people sabotage love. Their subconscious mind feels the safest in this territory. I'm not going to go specifically into each attachment style because that would make this video very long. If you are interested in learning more about the different attachment styles and how they sabotage love, I'm going to link a playlist up here or up here. It's going to be one of those corners and you can geek out on that. Another reason why people can sabotage relationships is due to not only their personal trauma, but their ancestral trauma. So if there is a history of dysfunctional relationships, that's going to play a part in why somebody sabotages love. The thing that's really important to understand about the subconscious mind is that it wants to keep you alive. That's its number one job. And it does that by keeping you doing what you know, what's familiar. And also it does that by having you be like the grouper. By having you be like the group or the tribe. Okay, if we're with like kind, if the tribe likes us, and the tribe's gonna like us because we are like the tribe, right? So if we have a family that's dysfunctional, our tribe that we grow up in is dysfunctional. So on a subconscious or unconscious level, we will be dysfunctional and be attracted to dysfunctional relationships so that we can belong to our family tribe. Now our family can exist, it can include our immediate family, our mom and dad, and it can include our grandparents, great-grandparents. It includes our ancestral tribe. So anybody responsible for you having life today on an unconscious level, you are connected to them. So you might be thinking like, I'm gonna break the family patterns. And while a lot of people make improvements to I believe every generation is doing better than the previous one. But there is this underlying tone of dysfunction in these families that get handed down unconsciously. No matter what good intentions or how much you try, it still gets handed down. So this is another reason why it's important to, when dealing with self-sabotage, you got to heal your own person. This is how you heal it. This is how you eliminate it. You got to heal your own personal trauma, but you're not healing it by, let's talk about it. Let's use my conscious mind to solve a subconscious issue. If you truly want to heal this to end self-sabotage, you need to reprogram your subconscious mind. This is how you heal it. You got to reprogram it. And when I say reprogram, what I'm talking about is you have to find out what those unconscious beliefs are. Now, these are outside of your conscious awareness. You do not see these beliefs. You don't even know you have them. If you work with a skilled practitioner, this is what I do with my clients, they can help you uncover these beliefs that are getting in your way so that they can be reprogrammed. I do this with precision with my clients. And this helps to get rid of and heal the personal trauma that they experienced in those younger years between 0 to 7 years of age. That's really what we're looking at. So once you work on your personal trauma, the other thing you want to look at is the group. There's trauma in that group. There's trauma that causes that dysfunction to get handed down. So one of the things I do in this system that I created, I help to heal ancestral trauma and family trauma so that this doesn't get handed down the family system from one generation to the next. So let's look at ancestral trauma. I want to dive into that a little bit more. Now, I have a video specifically on how ancestral trauma contributes to self-sabotage, which I will link in one of these corners for you. So if you want to go more detail about that, you can. But a quick reason why ancestral trauma contributes to self-sabotage is they did this, it's all about epigenetics. So they did this experiment with mice. And they used mice because they have a shorter life. And so they can see how trauma happening to one generation can affect the next and the next and the next generation after that. So what they did was they took mice and they released the smell of cherry blossoms. And that smell was paired with a mild electric shock. Now, every time those mice smelled cherry blossoms, they had the same reaction as if they were being shocked. Now, those mice gave birth to their offspring. Those offsprings were not shocked at all, but they did smell cherry blossoms and felt that same reaction. Those mice gave birth, same thing happened with their generation. So the genes that are expressed in each generation, whatever trauma happens to you, you're going to see that expression in the next generation. So the trauma that happens to your ancestors is inside of you. Now, what's kind of amazing is that if we had, like if this was your, grandmother, excuse my drawing, but let's say, she's pregnant with you. It's a big belly. It's probably not accurate, but that's how my drawing is. And then, we have a little baby fetus in here. Okay? And inside, let's say this is your grandmother, right? This is your grandmother. And this is your mother. Inside of your mother are all the eggs she's going to have in her lifetime. So imagine this. Something happens, that belly is really big. So imagine this. Something happens to your grandmother that's traumatic. Maybe she's pregnant with your mom. And then her husband either dies tragically or leaves altogether. And she's left with this huge abandonment pain. Okay? Huge. That is heartbreaking. Now, she's feeling that. And that baby is marinating in that pain. So now this baby, your mother, is connected, doesn't realize that that's her mother's pain. She thinks it's her pain. And she's starting to develop these unconscious beliefs that people are going to leave me. So she carries that pain. And maybe when she becomes an adult, she is attracted to partners that will leave her. So this is so important to look at our ancestors' trauma because it does impact you whether or not you are aware of it. Now, when people are talking about self-sabotage being related to self-worth is a huge component of this. If we don't feel worthy of the things we want, of course, we're going to sabotage it. But self-worth really comes down to a belief, right? I don't feel worthy of having the things I want. Where does that belief come from? It comes from childhood. So your self-worth will change as you heal that personal trauma. It will also change as you heal your ancestral trauma, because if you came from ancestors who didn't feel worthy, that's going to permeate in your cells and your being. So you can look at this as inner child healing work. You can call it shadow work. But the most important thing that, a lot of people will do healing work and shadow work, but if you're just talking about it, like I went to talk therapy for years, and they just really couldn't change the patterns that I was exhibiting. I used to sabotage relationships like you wouldn't believe. And I went and talked to therapists, and they were like, oh, you're dating your mother. And I'm like, great, make me stop. And they're like, you just got to choose differently. And I'm like, I'm trying to, but those people are just not attracted to me. They were boring, like I showed you earlier. And so it wasn't until I started to reprogram my subconscious mind, I started to heal that trauma, heal those limiting beliefs, heal my ancestral trauma, that I was able to stop automatically getting in my own way when it came to having a healthy relationship. I was able to get my subconscious mind to feel safe with healthy love. Because the thing is, when you come from a dysfunctional family, let's say you grow up with a parent who's an alcoholic or an addict or somebody who's abusive or maybe mentally ill, whatever your story is, that's what's going to feel safe to your subconscious mind. So this is all, self-sabotage is just a survival adaptation. That just means that your subconscious mind feels safe with your current reality, with the current way that things are going. So if you want things to be different, update your subconscious mind, heal your ancestral trauma, and you will eliminate your self-sabotaging behaviors so that you can reach your goals. If you are interested in working together, I offer a complimentary 15-minute Zoom call. The link is in the description below, and we can see if working together would be a good fit. So I'm just going to give you a step-by-step of how to eliminate self-sabotage, okay? So step one, you have to be aware. You have to know that you're self-sabotaging. You have to become aware that you have this goal that you're not able to reach, and you keep getting in your own way. If you are not aware of the issue, you cannot get help because you are not aware of what you need to work on. So awareness is the first thing. You've got to want to change, okay? There's a lot of people who are aware that they're self-sabotaging, but they don't care. They don't care. They'd rather sit on the couch and eat ice cream and eat chips because they don't care if they're reaching for more. They're fine with the way things are, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to eliminate self-sabotage, you gotta want to change. There's this joke that they say, how many, psychiatrists does it take to change a light bulb? One, but the light bulb's gotta want to change. You gotta want to change. The third step is you got to reprogram or update your subconscious mind so that your goal, whatever your goal is, feels safe to your subconscious mind. Because if it does not, you will sabotage, period. Because what you're reaching for, the subconscious mind has never experienced before, and whatever it hasn't experienced before, it deems it is not safe. One of the techniques you can start to implement right now is to visualize your goal, what you want, as if it's happening right now. You got to see it through your eyes, smell it through your senses, you got to touch it with your hands, whether that's all happening in your own head, but see it as if it's happening now and feel good while it's happening. A lot of times people will visualize, but subconsciously there will be fear, and that fear is what blocks them from manifesting what they would like. So if you can get your subconscious mind to feel safe, with your goal, that's the sweet spot. That's when things start to really manifest and take off. Now, sometimes people can work on doing their subconscious reprogramming. They're like, they still don't see a result. That's why you have to heal your ancestral trauma. Because remember, the subconscious mind wants to be like the tribe. So if that tribe is not succeeding, if that tribe is sabotaging, your subconscious mind is going to want to be like the tribe. So it's going to sabotage. So once you heal that, you're going to remove a lot of big blocks to what you want. So this is my formula for eliminating self-sabotage. I hope you got some value out of this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and please share it with somebody that you too think can get value out of this video. And if you liked this video, you'll probably like this video here.